Brandis, for the first time since 1997, the Illinois House got a new leader in January, Emanuel Welch of Hillside. He's been on the job 100 days now, and Welch joins us to talk about how it's going and what's ahead as Springfield gears up to meet an end of May adjournment deadline. Thank you so much, Speaker. We are glad that you are with us. And now, I do actually think it's 103 days that you have been Speaker of the Illinois House. Congratulations. And one major change within that time is term limits have passed the House. No more than 10 consecutive years serving in a position such as Speaker. Now, your predecessor, of course, served 36 years as Speaker. What do you hope this change, this term limits, will make?
Well, Amanda, first of all, let me say it's such an honor and a privilege to be here with you tonight. I will tell you that I certainly hope that this is the first of many steps that will show the public that we're serious about bringing about change here in Springfield, that we're serious about rebuilding trust in our legislature. And I do believe that if you make a promise in this business, you should keep it. And I told my colleagues, I told people in the community that I believed in leadership term limits. And we put it in our House rules. And then we further seek to codify it by putting it in a bill, like I talked about on January 13th that afternoon. It's in a bill that passed the House unanimously, and I'm hoping for favorable consideration in the Senate.
Speaking of Madigan, you have, including during your inauguration speech, praised his tenure. Let's take a listen.
I honestly believe that we have to thank and acknowledge that our state would not be where it is today without Speaker Madigan. We have to acknowledge that fact.
And what do you mean by that? How is Illinois better off after his 36 years in that role?
Well, I think what people have to recognize is that there are a lot of significant legislative achievements under Speaker Madigan. A lot of them are very progressive. Illinois is a dark blue state when we're surrounded by red states that are taking away rights from working families, that are taking away rights from women when it comes to reproductive health. Illinois is a very progressive state, and we want some big things under Madigan's leadership, including marriage equality. We've increased the minimum wage. We've passed the ERA. We have passed 3 huge bills that protects women's reproductive health, HB 40, the RHA, and a number of other things that we've done here that really put women at the forefront. While we have states right around us in Missouri, Indiana, Kentucky, Wisconsin, that are taking rights away from people. And we've also been very ahead of our neighbors when it comes to voting rights. And a lot of that was due to the leadership of Mike Madigan.
And critics, I think, would also point out some of the budgetary issues. We're going to try to get back to that. I want to, however, look to the future. You are the first Black person to hold that title of Illinois House Speaker. So historic right there. And then just last week, we also, of course, saw the historic verdict in the Derek Chauvin trial, found guilty of having murdered George Floyd. Now, you know that policing continues to be a concern, particularly in communities of color. What specifically can the state do about that? I know something the General Assembly is considering is ending qualified immunity for police officers. What is your position?
Well, I think the legislature in January during our lame duck session took significant steps to move us forward in that space when we passed the criminal justice reform package. And we should be really proud of that momentous step that we took then. In fact, it was passed about an hour before I became Speaker of the House. That was a really historic day for us here in the Illinois General Assembly. I think it's important that we give that historic legislation some time to work because I do believe that it's going to be a model for reform across the nation. I certainly think it's a start and we have more work to do. But I think you have to let legislation work and assess it and determine where you go.
And it certainly is so major. I mean, a lot of changes, ending cash bail amongst many others. What about another issue, an elected school board for Chicago Public Schools. You, of course, served on the school board in Proviso, and you have endorsed a measure that would give Chicago a 21-seat elected school board. Is that the only proposal that you favor, or what do you think about this hybrid plan that Mayor Lori Lightfoot is pushing?
Well, Amanda, I have supported an elected school board ever since I've been here in the legislature. I'm a product of an elected school board. An elected school board really prepared me well for what I do here in the legislature. And so my vote on the elected school board passed by Leader Ramirez a couple of weeks ago was just consistent with my votes on the bill in the past. But this is the legislature, and negotiation is an important part of what we do. And I think it's important to, get the parties around a table and see if we can come to some common ground. And the mayor filed a proposal after that bill passed, and I do believe the parties are preparing to get around the table and see if they can come to an agreement. And I think that's just the right thing to do, and that's how we do it here in Springfield.
So open to a compromise there. Now, speaking of, you did say during your inauguration speech that politics has become too divisive, and you promised to work together with legislators from both sides of the aisle. Here's a clip of that.
While we won't always agree because of where we come from, I want to ensure that each of my colleagues knows that I want to work with you directly.
But just last week, Republican State Representative Tim Butler called those promises, in his words, BS, fuming on the floor that you jammed up a proposal that he's sponsoring, even though it has bipartisan support. Here's a look.
We got a lot of people. We represent 5 million Illinoisans on this side of the aisle. 5 million. And our bills are being ignored. I'm sick of it. Sick of it. It's supposed to be a new day.
How do you respond to that?
Well, I believe that was a lot of posturing and political rhetoric. I think that that's the type of rhetoric that has to be lowered because Representative Butler looks at the data. He will see that both Democratic bills and Republican bills have been moving through the legislature. Third reading
But on
deadline.
an uneven scale, right? Something like 4-1 Democrat to Republican bills?
Well, Amanda, we're a supermajority. I mean, those numbers are never going to be even. Illinois is a supermajority state in both the House and the Senate. And so that's not, a fair comparison. Those numbers are never going to be even. And so that's why it's just rhetoric to insinuate that we're not working across the aisle. I've had Republicans in my office, and for the first time, they're saying, we've never seen the inside of this office. Their bills are passing because they're working with the Speaker of the Illinois House. They're doing
Something
things
very
they never
different than the Madigan approach.
Absolutely. And so, we can't use one person's rhetoric to cast an aspersion on the entire process, because the process is working. And I'm being very intentional about reaching across the aisle and working with them. But as I said in that clip, there's going to be some things that we agree on. There's going to be some things we disagree on as well. We have to just be consistent and persistent, and we're going to continue to do that.
And thank you very much. Our first time with you, an interview on Chicago Tonight with Speaker Emanuel Chris Welch, but we hope the first of many times, so thank you very much.
Amanda, it's always a pleasure. Thank you for having me.